Through the unforgiving scape that was the Russian tundra ran a railroad line, a mere stripe of black steel and hammered pin channeling one side of the continent to the other. In time, historians would look back to this line and consider it one of Russia's crowning achievements. But, upon a particularly cold October in 1923, there were no prospects of ingenuity or pride. Instead, there were a group of like-minded and strange-hearted individuals who would find themselves enduring what could only be titled as a Gothic nightmare on a Russian tram. Into the back of the chugging train walked a young man, his touch almost as delicate as his gaze as he traversed the labyrinth of boxes and suitcases, looking for something. Something catches his eye when suddenly...
Bloody rats. Lost me a decent night's sleep listening to that infernal scraping I did. Made me think I was a child again. The flat had an awful rat problem, I remember. But of course, if a child wakes up to the sound of scratching at his closet door, he does not think of rats.
As the young man talked to himself, a large crate catches his eye. With a smile, he examined it, hoping to pry it open.
I told myself that there was a man who lived there, bald and slender, with skin as grey as smog and eyes as yellow as amber. There we go. Took long enough. Mr. Rind, I think I called him. What a spell he put on me, too. Every night I remember sobbing to my mother, "Don't put me to bed, please. Mr. Rind will get me." But I learned the truth about monsters and closets. How they are all nothing more than the little tales we tell ourselves to survive the night. It helps with the fear, I suppose, knowing that all of these monsters, even Mr. Rind, are just stories.
It was not long before the young man's eyes fell upon a solitary grey urn hidden amongst the straw. Daintily, he slipped on a pair of white satin gloves.
And there you are, my precious. Can't have you slumming it with the rats, can we?
He gingerly picked up the urn and admired it in the faint light. His fingers ran across the strange markings in its side. Almost entranced, the young man looked deeper into the stone coils of the strange artifact.
No, true monsters wouldn't need to hide in little boys' closets. They would walk among us, looking no different than you and I.
The young man was so enraptured by the beauty of the piece that he did not notice the uneven thumping of footsteps growing behind him. His eyes did not notice the large silhouette of a man and his cane, nor did he feel the presence of his cold eyes watching him.
Frightening concept indeed, but is that not the very idea of a monster? To terrify us and make us lead safer lives? A storybook can provide just as much insight into a culture as, say, an urn does. All of your damage and your craftsmanship, it all tells something, but what exactly?
As if a moth drawn to candle flame, the tall man silently limped his way closer, careful as not to alert the young man of his perhaps unwanted presence.
Let's see. Clearly predating Mesopotamia, yet your preservation is unlike any other I have seen. It does seem you have something written into your sign. It appears to be an ancestral version of... what is that? Latin? Armenian? Germanic?
It's not Germanic.
Good God! How long have you been standing there?
Did I startle you?
No.
The young man looked up to see the massive figure in front of him. He appeared to be an older gentleman in his late 50s, with long, raven-black hair tied neatly back. A clean, greying moustache rested above his stern lip, solidifying any expression the tall man could exude as forlorn. Whereas his clothes were pressed and neat, there was a distinct sense of disorder in his eyes. A hint of worry, the young man thought to himself. The last thing he noticed, however, was the long, crooked cane in the tall man's hand. Not wanting to stir, the young man continued.
I just thought I was alone back here.
As did I. Train rides tend to make me a tad restless. I do hope I haven't disturbed, whatever it is you're doing.
I thought I would just sneak my way back here and do a bit of work before we reached Moscow. You won't tell the conductor, will you? We aren't supposed to be back here in the first place.
No, I see no reason to if you don't. Oh, much too pleasant back here to be cooped up in those compartments.
Pleasant? It's freezing back here.
But besides that, I meant, of course it's freezing. What is it exactly you're working on back here? Art decoration?
Well, I haven't got an eye for art. This is absolutely a work of it. After several months of excavation, myself and some dear colleagues of mine were able to exhume a hidden cache on the outskirts of Mosdok, in which case they'll be brought back to Amsterdam for further study.
Just as the tall man was about to brush his hand against the strange urn, the young man pulled away.
This particular piece, mind you, is several hundred years old. I'd appreciate the restraint to not touch such pieces.
Oh, I apologize. I was just noticing that.
The oils in your hands, you see, are very corrosive. Not you in particular, but just everyone. People are oily, sloppy.
You needn't explain any further. Beautiful things tend to last if merely kept to observation.
Beautiful and ancient. Such great structure and condition, yet maintaining its wonderful patina. A find like this is unprecedented, as is every other item we discovered. Lord, if one of these pieces were to become damaged, I don't think I could live with myself.
How can I live without thee? How forego thy sweet love and converse so dearly joined to live again in these wild woods forlorn?
Paradise Lost!
You know you're Milton.
Please, 17th century Catholic justification theory is derivative at best.
I just think it's a good story if it's all the same to you.
You sound like one of my students. Where are my manners?
The young man looked away from the artifact long enough to outstretch his hand.
It's Professor Van Helsing.
The tall man pondered at this action for a moment, then smiled and took his grasp.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Excuse me?
It's Frankenstein, but you may refer to me simply as Doctor if need be.
No, I heard you, but did you say Frankenstein?
I did.
As in Victor Frankenstein?
I am. Why do you ask?
I'm not sure, just I feel as if I've heard it before.
Oh, well, one of those names, I suppose.
No, that's a particular name, to be sure.
It really happens all the
And
time.
now Smith, that's a name you hear often.
Really, you mustn't worry about
Rogers,
it.
Johnson, Erickson, those are names you
Well,
hear
I suppose,
often. But
though.
not Frankenstein, that's sticks.
Well, I'm not really sure.
You're a doctor.
I am.
Well, did you publish a paper? It was a thesis of some sort, correct?
With a frantic look in his eye, Dr. Frankenstein began to back away nervously.
I really must be going.
What?
You seem to be quite busy back here, and I wouldn't want to disrupt your
I
work.
wasn't bothering at all.
Well, like I said, it is quite frigid, and I should go warm up front.
I'm sorry, have I offended you in some way?
No, it's not that. I just think I should leave.
As the two squabbled, they hardly noticed a small, rugged man sneak into the tram behind them.
I see no reason to be
No,
so...
please. It was a pleasure meeting you, Van Helsing, but I must be going. Thank you for indulging me.
Doctor, oh, come now.
Before Victor could make his way through the door and be rid of this strange encounter, he blindly collided with the rugged man. Though being almost twice his size, Victor staggered and scampered back while the rugged man was barely knocked off balance. Sneering, he cast a harsh glare at the bumbling behemoth.
Christ, where's the fire?
I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Didn't see me here. Try looking down next time, you fucking tree. Could have run me over running around like that.
I really never meant.
Quit blubbering, you sound like a seal, fucking gimp.
He said he was sorry.
The rugged man looked to Van Helsing, almost surprised by someone speaking up against him. For the first time, the professor could see the rugged man in all of his glory, for lack of a better word. He was a brutish fiend, with thick jowls and bushy mutton chops. His chest resembled that of a barrel, made all the more audacious by a green, threadbare jacket. He smiled at Van Helsing, revealing a row of crooked, yellowed teeth. Without breaking eye contact, he coolly reached into his jacket and took out a thick cigar.
What is it, a bloody party back here? Thought the pricks in the front kept this blocked off.
And yet here you are.
I just came back here to be alone with me thoughts.
The rugged man bit the cigar and began to search his pockets for a match.
And the Bolsheviks don't let you light up when there's a baby in your tram. Oi, princess, you got a light? I've left my matches in another suit.
No, I haven't a light.
Well, I suppose I'll be going.
No need, you can help me look for me
Well,
timber.
I really must be going.
First you trample over me, and now you won't even do me the simple courtesy of finding me a match?
With a tired look in his eye and a sigh, Victor began to look about for the match begrudgingly. As he searched, the rugged man sauntered about the cabin, peeking into the cases around him.
Excuse me, there are dozens of delicate pieces back here, and the slightest hint of cigar smoke could damage them.
Oh, delicate pieces. You shipping feathers or something?
It was at that fateful moment that the rugged man's eyes fell upon the strange urn in Van Helsing's hand. Before Van Helsing could say otherwise, the rugged man picked up the artifact and tossed it hand to hand.
Well, would you look at this?
Please, sir, put that down.
Were you some kind of sculpturist?
Am I a what?
A sculpturist? Someone who makes sculptures? An artist?
I think you mean sculptor.
What did I say?
Well, you said sculpturist. It's sculptor. You were wrong.
Well, you're a barrel of fucking fun, aren't you?
Please, sir, you aren't qualified to handle these items.
Van Helsing lunged for the urn, only for the rugged man to sidestep and let the professor fall face first into a steamer trunk.
I don't mean nothing by this, but you ever consider taking an arts class? 'Cause sculpting may not be of the root for you.
That urn has survived hundreds of miles and 1,000 years, and I won't have all that effort ruined by some imbecile.
Why the harsh tone, Dauber?
Because dropping that urn would be the costliest offense to the university since the Solomon mine fiasco.
A professor? Well, birds of a feather, I suppose.
With a grin, the rugged man tossed the urn into Van Helsing's arms and continued his futile search for the matches.
You aren't telling me someone actually let you teach something?
Aye, molecular and biological chemistry.
You're a chemist.
Not quite. I don't practice professionally.
No, just an interest, I suppose, like polo or scrapbooking.
You could say that.
Well, quite a bit of effort for a hobby.
Really? We're surrounded by 100 of Mr. Sculptor's boxes, and I'm the tryhard.
I'm just making conversation.
Well, as long as we're just chatting, let's be finding me a light. I haven't had a decent smoke since Volograd.
That's where you teach.
No, I fucking hate the cold. I'd just be passing my way through until I hit Edinburgh.
Edinburgh?
Aye, making my way back for a friend.
Just a bundle of surprises, aren't you?
Suppose I never introduced myself. Edward Hyde be the name.
Nice to meet you, Hyde.
Don't wear it out. Hey, you gimp, you sure you ain't got a light?
I don't smoke. I'm a doctor.
I'm a prude as well.
You know, you really aren't all that pleasant, you know.
Oh, it gave you that impression.
Did you say your name was Hyde?
Aye, only if I don't owe you money.
I mean, is it short for anything? Hyde?
Short for... It's Hyde. It's short for Hyde. Long for Hyde. Now, I'd appreciate it if you stop asking me moronic questions and help me find a bloody match.
As the two argued, Victor's search for a match ended at a large misplaced crate. Hoping to find the futile treasure, he cracked open the box. Only, instead of producing matches, out popped a taller, gaunt man, with a crazed look in his eye. The stranger fell out of the crate, screaming.
My God! How long have you been there?
Bloody hell's the matter with the lot of you?
Don't look at us, it was him.
All eyes fell upon Mr. Hyde, who, in turn, glared at Victor.
You're about on my last fucking nerve.
The grim-looking man stumbled to his feet and glared at the other gentleman. He was an older chap, his hair still clinging to those final notes of black, but otherwise was as grey as ash. His face and hands were worn and dirty, the wrinkles made all the more eccentric by the grime dusted around them. His clothes were mismatched and stitched over twice, by the professor's count. Yet, in spite of his homely appearance, his sharp jaw was pristinely shaven, with nary a hint of stubble or shadow to imply anything other than a gentleman. As he walked, he contorted his back, working out a cramp affixed by hiding in a box, no doubt.
Why are you banging on boxes anyways?
Well, I never suspected anyone would be in there.
Oi, didn't you see the sections blocked off?
Really? What a concept!
I'm sorry, were you sleeping back here?
Aye, heavy sleeper.
How? The entire compartment must be 20 below freezing.
I'm a very heavy sleeper.
And you're sleeping among the crates because...
It's quieter back here. Well, at least it was.
Well, as long as you're here. You want to see some sculptures? Oh, don't get your hopes up, though. They're shite.
I beg your pardon?
Don't tell him that, though. You know how sculptors get with their work and all.
It's sculptor.
I'm about 3 seconds from bashing your fucking brains in, you know that?
Please, for the love of God, don't.
Well, thank you, Professor.
Van Helsing holds the urn close, such as a mother would to a defenseless child.
If you break any of these items, I would be devastated.
Excuse me.
And we shouldn't be bashing in people's brains either.
And mate, before you go, you got a match on you.
I quit smoking ages ago.
Oh, that's an awful choice.
Tell me about it. I feel dreadful.
Tell you what. Find me a match, and I'll let you take the drag of me cigar.
It was with that yellow-toothed promise that the grim man and Hyde excitedly began searching about the cabin, both dreaming of tobacco-flavoured breaths to come. As they set out on their frantic expedition, they threw about all manner of Van Helsing's artifacts. With Greek pots and parchments flying about the cabin, the professor dreaded the worst. As usual.
Need I mention that these pieces are hundreds, if not thousands of years old?
Then what are you doing with them?
Something paramount to grave robbing, I believe.
Archaeology is not grave robbing.
I don't know. How long must a man be dead for intruding on his grave is considered archaeology?
50 years.
Oh, 50? That's pretty lax. Make it 100.
Robbing a pile of bones is still grave robbing in the eyes of the law.
I won't try to reason with you the purposes of my work. I think it is getting much too crowded back here, so if you would kindly leave.
Gladly.
But before the good doctor could make his long-awaited exit, Mr. Hyde grabbed him by the back of his collar with his hairy-knuckled fist and pulled him down to his eyes.
Ain't nobody leaving till you find me bloody matches!
This is a storage compartment of a damned train. There aren't going to be any matches here.
Found some.
That's me,
You
boy!
can't be serious.
And, almost as if on cue, the grim-looking man appeared from one of the boxes with matches in his hand.
Some of the shovelers come back here for a smoke sometimes. Bound to leave some back here.
Enough of the talking, give me that!
Well, now that you've found your matches, can you please leave me to my work?
Aye, quit your whining.
And you've got nothing to say about that large bloke being back here.
Well, Dr. Frankenstein isn't the one wanting to light a small fire in a wooden box on wheels.
Dr. Franken who?
Oh, please don't drag me into all this.
Out of the three of you, Dr. Victor Frankenstein has been the only pleasant one.
Bloody easy for you to say he ain't tried to trample you yet.
Frankenstein, you say? You a Hun?
Mostly I'm all over the map, one could say.
And that would be the Steins of what? Zurich, Bern, Geneva?
Oh, couldn't say. Say it is a bit stuffy. I think I'll just clear the room, let you talk amongst yourselves.
Could it say you forgot where you were born?
Well,
It's fine, Doctor. You may leave.
I'm only joshing the lad, Professor.
And I'm sure we've had quite enough of your joshing, Henry.
Just wanted the bloke to... I'm sorry, what did you call me?
Has anyone seen my medical bag?
What did it look like?
Blackened leather, silver clasp?
Exactly.
I haven't seen it.
You called me Henry.
Where did you leave it last? I'm sorry?
My name is Hyde.
What are we going on about now?
Just before, you called me Henry.
Of course it is. We all know your name isn't Hyde. Hyde. That's what I said. Hyde. I said Hyde. Have you found the damn bag yet?
I remember just setting it down near here.
Gentlemen, if you don't mind, I would like to get back to
Where's
my
my
work. I
bag?
can show you the door if need
Professor,
be.
I need my bag.
And I need to work, Doctor. The bag will be
But
here
have
when
you
we
s-
arrive, if you please.
Have you seen my bag? I want my bag.
Enough! I have had it up to here with all of you. First the smoking, then the bag. I can't take all of this commotion.
Don't blow your top now.
I think I will. I came back here for some quiet, simple work, and each of you are making a mess of it all.
Well, excuse me, Your Highness. Are we impeding on your fucking sculpturing?
Sculpting.
That's it!
With a look of death, Hyde jumped at Victor, aiming to throttle him by his throat.
Out! Out, all of you! There are too many people here!
As if God had taken it as a personal challenge, the professor was proved quite wrong. The tram door slammed open and entered two more passengers, both growing more eccentric and odd by the minute. Firstly was a hunched figure of something resembling a man. His stovepipe hat and cloak disguised what could have been a pale bone-white mask, but it was impossible to say. The figure was slouched in a Victorian wheelchair, pushed by a woman contrasting in every way. Whereas the cloak figure appeared to be coiling in upon himself, the odd woman displayed herself in such a way that was normally reserved for pagan deities and peacocks. She wore black furs and purple silks, exuding an air of wealth. Her face was beautiful, all of the men thought, because no other word could be conjured to their mind. Beautiful was precisely the word to describe her. Not pretty, not rapturous, not anything otherworldly or mundane, but simply beautiful. Yet, tarnishing her charm and his mystique, the two strangers barreled in to the tram, nearly bowling over the men, arguing all the while.
If you told me we needed the damn thing, I would have had them put it in the cabin for us.
I'd already told you I wished to compose while we waited. You were the one who forgot.
The two collided into Hyde, sending his matches flying.
My fucking matches!
Then pray tell, when did you tell me?
In the house, on the stoop, in the carriage, at
Oh,
the station,
hush.
at the ticket counter, on the train, in our cabin, in the hall, in the loo.
I swear to God I'll leave you in the banks to freeze.
Excuse me?
Ah, Provodnik. Yes, perhaps you've seen, how do you people say, Krasny Ranets? I would be Bolshaya Otsenka.
They don't understand you, Dorian.
Excuse you, but I know for a fact that my Russian is impeccable.
They aren't rushing you, hussy. They're passengers.
Passengers? I didn't think the passengers were allowed back here.
That's the rumor I've been hearing.
Well, as long as I have your attention, have you seen a red satchel back here? One of those brutish attendants tossed it back here amongst everyone else's things, and now we can't find it.
That's her way of saying that she forgot to pack it with us.
I'm trekking across a frigid tundra for your bony ass. I would appreciate a bit of patience.
Oh, stop whining, you prima donna, and find the damn thing. I can barely feel my hands back here.
Well, I haven't seen anything like it. Have you?
Nothing but boxes when I got here.
Well, it has to have been stashed somewhere around here.
Well, maybe some people should leave. Just let you
Oh,
search.
don't worry about it. I'll be out of your hair in a jiff.
Oh, it wouldn't be any trouble.
You ain't going nowhere till you help me find me matches.
Now, how delightful.
We mustn't be here for long. We'll find our satchel and... Oh, what do we have here? A vase?
It appears to be an urn.
For the love of God, give that back! Have any of you learned the adage, look, don't touch?
But what's the point of any beautiful thing if it cannot be touched?
As she spoke, the odd woman's lavender eyes fell upon the sharp chin and grizzled look of the grim man.
And speaking of beautiful things...
Please don't be talking about me.
Leave the man alone,
Oh,
Dorian.
hush up, Eric. I'm just taking in the view.
You've literally just met the man.
You'll get used to it. Just before she tried seducing the conductor.
What can I say? I have a fix for handsome young men, such as yourself.
Bugger off.
And feisty, too. You certainly are the whole package, Mr...
Greg.
Greg. Oh, certainly anticlimactic, isn't it?
Oh, where in the blasting hell is...
What now?
You and your grandpappy knocked me matches out of me hands when you burst in here. Damn things were the only ones I had
I'll
left.
have you know that this dusty pile of bones is not my grandfather.
And you'd be a shameful example of a granddaughter.
The name is Dorian Gray. I'm this senile things manager.
This thing has a name as well.
Yes, we all know you have a name, Eric. I just thought I'd introduce myself first. Ladies first and all that.
A lady? Ha! That's rich.
Manager, he's a performer?
Ah, gentlemen, may I introduce the new French sensation, Sir Eric.
Just Eric is fine.
Oh, please, when you have that roar of talent flowing in your fingertips, it is a sin to refer to him as anything other than Sir.
A musician.
The very best. Eric and I are on his superlative tour across Russia. Due to perform for Lenin next week, we open our escapade with his quintessential Il Muto.
No.
What do you mean, no?
I told you I wasn't performing Il Muto anymore.
Wait, you wrote Il Muto?
No.
Yes, he did. It's his magnum opus.
It was the worst thing I've ever written.
He doesn't mean that.
Yes, I do. Il Muto is the most mindless piece of music I've ever composed. Complete squabble.
But people like it.
That's the problem with it. I hate people.
I like it.
Fuck you!
Well, wonderful to have met you. Now you may leave.
Just when we're getting acquainted.
I'm married.
I don't see a ring.
I don't see a shot for you.
Ahem, that's satchel.
Bloody hell, nearly forgot the reason I came in the first place.
Dorian Gray, set on a mission, searched the cabin alongside Hyde. With flicks of a hand, she sent Van Helsing's artifacts about the cabin and rummaged through crates, such as a raccoon would be looking for its next meal. The professor scrambled about the cabin, protecting each of Dorian's projectiles and placing them softly from whence they came.
Watch where you put these delicate treasures.
Dorian picked up a threadbare sack of some sort, stained and blotched with stains of long past. Her face scrunched in disgust.
What kind of garbage are you shipping? It smells horrendous.
That's mine.
Then it must be Kismet.
Well, I don't appreciate being ogled.
If it stops her from tearing apart the entire cabin, go for it.
No need, found my satchel.
Dorian stood, producing a black leather bag with silver handles.
Wait, this isn't mine.
My back!
Victor, in the throes of relief, hobbled over to Dorian to retrieve his prize. But, such as Sisyphus was never to reach the top of the mountain, the good doctor could not catch a moment of good luck. Frankenstein's happiness turned to panic when his feet were swept out from under him by Edward Hyde, who had finally found a match.
Found it!
The tumbling giant tripped and collided into the grim man, sending them both into a stack of crates behind them.
Watch it, Frankenstein!
I'm drawing, Greg!
Are you alright?
I a bit jumbled, but I found me match at last.
Not you, Hyde. I meant Victor.
What?
He said he's Hugh alright.
Who is Hugh?
I said you, not Hugh.
Well, who the hell is Hugh?
There is no Hugh, nitwits!
Oh, I love it when you talk like that, Greg.
The grim-looking man shoved aside Dorian, who, in turn, collided into Mr. Hyde, who, in turn, sent his matches flying, resulting in the world's most catastrophic collection of events that would put Rube Goldberg to shame.
Not again! You fucking bitch, I'll kill ya!
Hyde took a swing at Dorian, only to have a duck just in time for our poor Victor Frankenstein to be in the range. Edward Hyde's ham fist collided with the doctor's face, sending him flying back. The mammoth of a man collided with the wall, shattering the entire cabin.
Go for the gut next time! Take out her legs!
I smell blood.
Oh, you may want to see a doctor.
I am a doctor.
Then you'll be
I
fine.
can't set my own nose.
Hit him with a chair!
You aren't helping, Eric.
I make do with the entertainment I am given.
What am I going to do with a broken nose?
The grim man, already tired of the antics aboard the train, stomped over to the doctor, grabbed him by the nose, and snapped it back into place.
I'm gonna give a warning next time.
If you don't stop complaining, that next time is gonna come a lot sooner than you think.
I really only did brisk ya. You just got fragile bones.
Amidst the panic in the tram, the odd characters did not notice the young professor slowly sneak away with his urn and into the caboose. Van Helsing stood in the cramped room and breathed a frozen sigh of relief. Slowly, he began to trace the urn's runes once more in the dying light.
At last, some peace and quiet. Everyone wanted to get a hold of you, didn't they? Expect a lot more attention once you reach the university, my precious. You will define a generation with your mystery, so let's find out exactly what you are and get you home safely and...
Are you alright here?
We had quite a crash. Oh.
The strange group all crowded to see the mournful sight. A young professor, baptized in worry and work, kneeling on the floor in front of his once precious urn, shattered to ruin.
All those decades. All those centuries.
Oh, the boys finally popped his gourd.
It's all ruined. Shattered to nothing.
Spending all that time warning us about it, and you end up being the one who broke it. Now that's dramatic irony.
I didn't break it!
Who then? A ghost?
No, it was... I don't know. The cabin shifted or something.
Well, we are on a moving train.
No, I felt it too.
That's what trains do. They shift and jolt and all sorts of other things.
But this was different.
I didn't feel anything. It may have just been in your head.
Why would I willingly break my urn hide?
I'm not saying you did, I'm just...
Oi!
What is it?
You hear that?
Don't hear anything.
Aye, shouldn't we be here in the train?
Did we stop?
We can't be at Moscow yet.
We should still have about a day's ride.
I'll go check up front, make sure it's alright. Greg, come with me.
I'm fine.
Stop being a pansy and just come along. You all stay here to look after the bag of bones and the professor.
I resent that remark.
Oh, what are you gonna do about it? Roll over me.
With a smirk, the grim man and Edward Hyde exited the cold tram and into even worse freeze, leaving 4 miserable souls aboard. The doctor, not sure of what to do at the moment, leaned down and began to help clean up the remnants of what was once Van Helsing's prized achievement.
My entire career, entire century is right out of my hands.
These things happen. Let's just pick up the pieces and carry on.
This piece, this urn predates any modern civilization. This urn is most likely the basis for an entire new discovery, and it's in 1 billion pieces.
A bit of a romantic, aren't we?
It's not that. There was something about this urn. I could feel it. Something important, significant was attached to it. It was a feeling deep down.
Destiny, you mean?
In a sense.
Then pay it no mind. Misery is built upon men with destinies.
But...
Learn from a wiser man, boy. There will be other urns.
Across the frigid room, Eric stared at the door, shivering.
Are you cold? Is that it?
Something's wrong.
I know, I don't have the satchel.
Not that. Something's happened.
In a burst of icy wind and torrential snow, the 2 men re-enter from the tundra, faces cold and fearful.
The train is gone!
What do you mean?
We're disconnected.
What happened?
I don't know, the connecting part may have broken or something.
Train links don't just break.
Well, I don't know. What else may have happened?
Aren't they stopping for us?
Why would they? There isn't supposed to be anybody back here. How could they know that it's become disconnected?
Here, I can flag them down.
But before the daunting professor could brave the cold, Victor stands in his way.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. It's a bloody blizzard outside. You'll make it 20 feet before you freeze.
So what? We're stuck here.
Let's pray another line doesn't come to smash into us.
We're the last line on this rail for the next week.
Not a lot of trans-Russian rides this time of year, I suppose.
Let's calm down. A line should make it to the station in a day or so, isn't that right, Eric?
Accounting we're on schedule.
Right. They'll see we're missing their trams and send people back for us. We'll just have to last until then.
What, survive here for days on end until they might save us?
Well, do you have a better option?
We could all save us some time and freeze to death out here.
You ever the optimist, Greg?
No, we aren't losing anybody. Just stay calm and we'll get through this.
Aye. Best to stay here and wait for the brigade.
Oh, and how do you suppose we do that? In case you haven't noticed, we aren't necessarily in the diner cart. No food, no water, and the 6 of us huddled in a freezing box. How long do you expect we'll last?
She's right, there wouldn't be any food here.
Saw a box of spirits back there among some crates of Sumerian wine. That should tide us over.
This is no time to start drinking up.
If I'm stuck here with the lot of you, I think it would be a wonderful time to get hammered.
No, she's right. There has to be something back here, anything that can help us survive. Blankets, coats, tops.
There may be some supplies in the emergency box.
Precisely.
In that case, I suggest we start with the luggage. No telling what they may have in there.
Good idea. You and Professor Van Helsing can begin on that.
I would actually be...
Greg and I will start searching the emergency box from the outside. We'll reconvene in a bit to see what we found.
Anything I can do?
Your job is to make sure I don't freeze to death, you
You'll
featherhead.
be fine, you old coot.
Actually, he's right. You should stay with him. Make sure he doesn't go hypothermic. Elderly are the first to go.
Fine, but don't think I'm not sampling the wine in the meantime.
Then let's get to it, men. I sense we have quite the night ahead of us.
The group of strangers all looked to each other, nervous for what lay in wait for them. What dangers hid just outside their walls and with their newfound group? The optimists of the gang, however few, hoped for a speedy rescue, while pessimists awaited a cold and hungry demise aboard the Russian rail. However, none of them could predict the horror that would soon befall them, and with naive and innocent minds, they embarked upon a Gothic nightmare on a Russian tram.